Okay, so this video is going to be showing you how to create a family with a couple different parameters. One is a parametric array, and we're also going to be looking at some formulas to control the amount of the number of items within that array. We're going to be looking at some nested parameters and some visibility parameters. So we're going to do all that with a table, and let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do new family, and we're going to use the generic model template. Okay, so what we're going to start, we're going to model this table, and we're going to have a base, and then we're going to have a table top. The table top will be parametric, so we're going to kind of control the size of this table, and we're going to be basically working off of radiuses. We're going to do kind of radial arrays, radial families. This same process can be done with like a square table, with linear arrays and that sort of thing. But for this purposes, we're going to be using round tables and doing radial arrays. So we'll start by drawing the base. Be sure to go with the intersection of the two reference planes. The two reference planes that are there, I'll just exit out of this for the time being. The two reference planes that are there, this is the center left and right, and the center front and back. The important thing while doing anything working with a radius or any family in general is to make sure that you're working off of a center point. So when this family is actually loaded in a project, you're going to be able to snap two things using this reference plane in the middle, or in the left, right, and then front, back. So when we're working off of something that's going to be we're going to be doing radiuses or circular, it's important that we're right in the center. So we're going to create this extrusion circle, and we're going to make sure that it's snapping to the intersection of these two reference planes. So for the base of it, I don't want that to be very big. So 6-inch radius, that'll be a foot in diameter. So we'll go ahead and finish. I would like to work both in floor plan and in 3D at the same time. For just what we're doing, it makes it a little bit easier. It's always good to get in the habit of working in multiple views. So I'm going to open up the 3D view. I did that by clicking the default 3D view button up there. I could also go to 3D views and double click on it right there. And then I'm going to window tile, and then to do that, it's again the shortcut is WT, window tile. Close out just what we want, and here we go, working in our two windows here. So I got my floor plan in 3D. So here's my base. I want my base to, for what we're doing, it doesn't super matter, but say our tabletop's at 2 feet, maybe this will be 20 inches tall, and then our tabletop will be 4 inches thick. So let's go ahead and do our tabletop here. We'll do another extrusion, again picking that center line, and then we're going to create two different tabletops. Again, this is going to be parametric, so we're going to have a tabletop that's 4 feet in diameter, a table size, and then 6 feet in diameter. So this one will be parametric, so it doesn't really matter what we have to draw it in. So yeah, this says 2 feet right here. We're going to make this radial dimension. We're going to make this a permanent dimension, and that's the dimension that we're going to make parametric. There's a couple ways of making this parametric. You can have the parameter be outside of the sketch. So if we were to finish this sketch, so let's just make that 2 feet, and then this will be the 20 inches. That way the table top kind of sits on the pedestal like that. Maybe we'll go 22 inches. That just seems thick. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, we could do annotate, radial, here, and we could make that dimension, we can make that our parameter. But really, you know, that's best practice to create your parameters within the sketch of the extrusions rather than outside the sketch. It'll just work a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and make that dimension permanent. I did that by clicking that little symbol to make dimension permanent. I'm going to click on that dimension, and we're going to go up to label and add parameter. So this is going to be radius. It's a type parameter, and we're going to group it under dimensions. So there we go, radius 2 feet. Click finish, and we will finish our sketch. So whenever we create a parameter, it's always good to test it. Let me show you real quick what I clicked on again. Over here in Properties, Family Types. Click that, and then we'll bring up the Family Types dialog box. So there we see the parameter we just created, 2 foot radius. Let's just type in 4 feet and hit Apply. And you'll see that in our floor plan and in 3D, you'll see it moved. Go back to 2 feet. So this is working just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our family types are going to be, you know, a 4 foot table and a 6 foot table. So let's go ahead and create family type new. This is going to be our let's just say our 4 foot table. We'll keep that for now. So we'll have a 4 foot and a 6 foot table. For the 4 foot table, rather than having this 2 foot radius, I want to create another parameter that just says table size, and we'll have 4 foot in here. So I'm going to add a parameter. This will be table size. And yeah, comment length, we'll group it under dimensions so it's with the radius, and make sure that it's a type parameter. That'll be cool. Okay, so table size. So let's say this will be the 4 foot table, that's a 2 foot radius. So we want these two parameters to react to each other, and we'll do that through formulas. So basically, I can create this formula in either parameter, either on radius or table size. I'm just going to I'm going to do it in radius, and basically it will say table size divided by 2. And hit apply. Okay, so you'll see that I typed it out. Revit's going to space it out the way that it wants to see it. Really the thing that you have to watch out for is when you're referencing another parameter, it is caps sensitive. So if it's a capital T, A, B, L, E, space, capital S, I, Z, E, that has to be represented exactly the same within the formula. Otherwise, it'll give you an error. So just to show you, I can do a lowercase s, hit apply, and it's going to give me the error. The following is not a valid family parameter. Note that parameter names are case sensitive. So yeah, it is case sensitive. We'll change that back to a capital S and hit apply, and we're all cool. So the cool thing about these formulas is that, you know, it's going to work the way that we entered it. I, you know, type in 6 feet here. The formula says table size divided by 2, so that's going to reference this 3 feet. But this formula will work both ways. So if I was to type back in 2 feet on the radius, it's going to work backwards through this formula and fill in the value for the table size parameter. So this is actually a really, really cool function that Revit does. Something to keep in mind, that those formulas work backwards. So that, you know, if you're referencing two parameters, it's going to work both ways. Unless one of these is an instance parameter and the other is a type parameter. But if they're both instance or both type parameters, they're going to work together like that. So cool. So we got a 4 foot table and a 2 foot table here. We'll keep it like this for right now, and we're going to go ahead and add chairs to our table. So let's hit OK. So the chairs we are not going to have, we're not going to model chairs within this family and then, have them, put them around this table. We're actually going to bring in another family and nest it within this family. So we're going to be looking at, kind of how nesting parameters work. Not so much in this video, but maybe in another video I'll show you a little bit more about, nested families. So what I clicked on was under the model, I clicked component, and then it says no component family is loaded in the project. Would you like to load one now? Yes, we would. We're going to do furniture, seating, chair. This chair brewer works for what we're doing right now. So I'm going to hit open, and you will notice the chair popped into place. So I'm going to put this chair in here, and I'm going to create an array that'll put chairs all the way around the table. In order to do that, again, the chair, if it's going to create a radius around the table, needs to be lined up, with that center line that the table is lined up on. And I'm going to push it a little bit up there. It doesn't have to be perfect for right now. So we have this chair that's, again, a nested family within this family. And what I want this chair to do is basically array around the table. So in order to create an array, we'll select the object that we want to array. Go up here under the create. No, that was wrong. Sorry. We'll go under modify, and there is our array tool right there. You'll notice it has the little boxes next to each other. Again, if you hover over some of these tools in Revit, it'll play a little video there for you, kind of showing you how to use it, which is a really, really cool feature that Revit has. Most of the options will play that little video. So anyway, we're going to click the array. So as soon as you click array, you'll notice that this bar here at the bottom right here, this gives you some options that you really need to focus on when creating array, because if these options here are not correct, it's really going to mess you up. The first one would be the linear array versus a radial array. Making sure that it's a, for what we're doing right now is a radial array. Making sure if that is selected versus the linear. The linear is just not going to give you what you want. So this is obviously a very important one. We're going to click a radial array. You notice again, as soon as we clicked that, this bar changed again. So we have some more options here. You'll see here in 3D, you have this little, it shows what you kind of see with your rotate tool. You'll see this sort of rotation thing. And again, you'll see that's the center of the rotation. So that center is actually the center of where your radial array is going to happen. You'll also notice up here, center of rotation, you can place it. So yeah, there's two different ways of doing this. Just like with the rotate tool, you can click and drag this around, and we could do our array from right there, or you can click place, and you're just going to be able to place it. So what's really important is again making sure it's the intersection of those two reference planes. So we're going to select it. And one thing before you finish this, again, you can still make changes up here before actually having to create that radius or that angle. Is right here, move to second or last. If this is not right, it'll throw off what you're trying to do. Basically, if we're on second right here, if I created the angle, I'm going to set a spacing. So then the number of items within that array, it's going to repeat that. It's going to keep arraying it based off of that spacing that you established right here. If we click last, it's going to I click first, and then based off of that angle that you create, so we're just going to go 180 for the time being. It's going to set the last one here. So now when we enter in the number here, if we go 4, it's going to it will create Yeah, so it says 3. If we type in 4, it's going to create 4 chairs equally spaced between the first and the last. So if we had done second and we did 4, it's going to keep trying to do one based off of the spacing of the first and the second. But since we did last, it's going to equally space the chairs in an array based off of equal distance between the first and the last. So you can see there are 5 chairs there. Now, once we've kind of created this array, we can still edit it. It's not a big deal to edit this. The second and the last thing, the radius versus or a radial array versus a linear array, you're not going to be able to edit that sort of thing. But as far as the angle or the spacing of an array, you can change that once you create it. So, and the number in it, that's not a big deal either. So we're going to select this array and grab the end. We want this array to go all the way around the table, not just part of the way. So we're going to move it closer to the endpoint. Now you'll notice right here it says 359.82 degrees. It's not the full 360. As soon as we try to get close to that full 360, it pushes up to like a 0.2. It'll basically go to 0 degrees rather than 360. So you can't really go all the way to 360. Just try to get it as close as possible, and Revit will just kind of figure that's what you're trying to do. So it's not going to put the last in the same place as your first. It's going to assume the first and the last are the same thing. So if I type in 5 chairs, you're going to see 5 chairs, not 4 chairs, because you have 2 in the same place. So it's smart enough to kind of figure that out. So when we select our array, we have a couple different options here. We have some temporary dimensions. That's basically the radius of this array. So if we change this number to 2 feet, it's going to kind of pull everything in. 4 feet, it would kind of push everything out. You'll notice it kind of defaulted us back to 360. It kind of figured out what we were trying to do. And then this number right here, that's the integer of how many chairs are in the array. So we can just kind of type in this number. It's going to adjust those chairs. So you'll see the array in 3D as well. Those same options are there. You can edit all this stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and attach some parameters to this array. One of the first things that I would like to do is let's go ahead and make this array adapt to the table as far as this radius. So what we can do is, you'll notice in 2D I selected the path of the array. I did that just by kind of mousing over where it needs to be. We'll select it. We have a temporary dimension here of 4 feet. I'm going to go ahead and make this a permanent dimension, and then select that dimension and go up to our label, and we're going to click on our radius, right? So if we look in 2D, we see this. That's our dimension that we placed. It's really big. If you want to make that a little bit smaller, there's a couple ways of doing it. Probably the easiest way is that we just mess with our scale a little bit. By default, the annotation scale of this view is 1/8. We can change that a little bit by sort of increasing the scale. That dimension gets a whole lot smaller, so it just becomes less of a nuisance. But yeah, so now that we've created a parameter that controls the that radius of the array, let's go ahead and test that to make sure that it's working. We're going to click on our family types, and we'll change it to, let's try our 6-foot table. So now that we type in the 6-foot table, our radius will turn to 3 feet. That should control both our table and our array. So when we hit apply, that's what we're going to look for. So yeah, you'll notice our table got bigger and our array got bigger. So that's great. The problem is we're going to create a 4-foot table and a 6-foot table. So if we type in our 4-foot table and hit apply, right now we have a 4-foot table and 6 chairs. That's a little tight. So what we want to do is to create a formula that defines how many chairs are going to be there. And if it's a 4-foot table, we're going to have 4 chairs, and if it's a 6-foot table, we're going to have 6 chairs. So we're going to do that through a formula. The first thing to do, though, is we're going to attach a parameter to the number of chairs that are in this array. You do that by, we're going to try to click on our array again. I did that just by mousing over where I know that array is supposed to be, tabbing. And now I see that array, I can select it. So you'll notice we can type in the number there, but there's, unlike the radius, there's not a place to like make that permanent so we can select it. Where you attach a parameter to that array is we have just selected the array itself and go up here on the label, and we're going to add a parameter here. So this is going to be number of chairs. And again, it's because of the way that we've created it, it's going to control the type. Again, this is not a dimension or a length anymore. Type of parameter is an integer. It's going to control that's grayed out, so we cannot change it. We're going to make sure it's a type. And group parameter under it defaults by other. That's fine with me. So I'm going to click OK. And there we go. We created a parameter. Again, always check your parameters. So we look under our family types, number of chairs. I'm just going to change that to 4. Hit apply, make sure it's working. It is working. So I can type in something here, or you can use these little controls to change the integers. Okay, so this is working pretty well. So what we need to do is we're going to create a formula that basically reads the table size. And if it's a 4-foot table or under, we're going to have 4 chairs. And if it's larger than a 4-foot table, you're going to have 6 chairs. So we're going to basically create a conditional statement in the formula that's saying, if this statement is true, then this. If not, then this. So really the best way to kind of show this is on the notepad. I'll kind of just draw or type out what I'm talking about here. So with Revit, there's a couple of formula options. There's a less than, greater than, equal to. There's the if statement, the and statement, and the or statement. I don't know if that's going to mess me up. I may have messed up my recording. Sorry. Sorry. Get back on track. The if statement, the and statement, the or statement. There's also a not statement. And there's probably a couple other ones, but you can use all of these together. For our purposes, we're going to use an if statement. So, the formula will read if. The way the if statements work, it's basically saying if, statement. So if statement, comma will break the expressions. So if statement, if it's true, then it will report true. If it is false, then it will report false. So I know that may not make sense right now. That's kind of a key, I guess, of how the formulas are supposed to read. But we'll go ahead and type out, what we're trying to say here. So we're saying, if table size is, let's say, less than 4 feet, then 4 chairs. And if that is false, if it's greater than 4 feet, then it's going to be 6. All right, so that would be our formula. So let's go ahead and attempt to type that in here. All right, so if, and again, things are case sensitive, so keep that in mind. So if table size is less than 4 feet, then 4, if not 6, and false 6. And then we'll end the expression with that parentheses. Go ahead and hit enter. You'll notice, again, Revit, it will format this the way that it wants to see it. If table size 4 feet, 4, 6. Okay, and then the next thing that you will notice is it will have grayed out that integer. So now this formula is directly controlling this integer. Now this is an if-then statement, so this will not work backwards. If we type in 5, it doesn't make that formula true anymore. Like that formula can't work in reverse. So that's why we're not really able to control that. That table size directly tells us what's going on. So just to test it, we're going to do, type in like 3 feet, and you'll notice our number of chairs changes to 4. We'll type in 6 feet, and it will change to 6. So we know this is working. The problem is that we have a 4-foot table, right? Well, our expression says if table is less than 4. Well, it's not less than 4, it is 4, and so it's going to result in a false statement. So we're going to need to add another condition in our statement. So we'll go back to our notepad. So this is not enough right here. This table size is less than 4 feet. So we're going to create another one. So we're going to use another, I guess, formulaic expression with the and. So our statement will be table size is less than 4 feet. We're going to do a comma to break the expression. The way, before I do that, let me just kind of show you how the ands and the ors work. So basically, this would be and, statement 1 and statement 2, right? You could do, whatever the statements you want to be. The same thing with or. You could basically just, copy this down and change and to or, right? It works the same way. So, so our formula will basically what we're trying to say is we want table size to be less than 4 feet. Actually, this should be an or, shouldn't it, rather than be an and. Table size equals 4 feet, right? Yeah, that's what it should be. So if or, not and, if or table size is less than 4 feet or table size equals 4 feet. And we're going to end that expression. So basically, this is our statement for if this is true, then 4, if not, then 6. So either it's less than 4 feet or it's equal to 4 feet. If that is true, then 4 feet, or 4 chairs. If that's not true, then 6 chairs. So let's go ahead and type that into our formula box. So this is going to be or table size 4 feet. I'm going to do a comma. Table size equals 4 feet. And then parentheses. Make sure your parentheses and commas are in the right spot. If they are not in the right spot, then yeah, it won't work. You're going to get a bunch of errors. Just make sure that if you're getting an error, most likely it'll come down to you have something capitalized or not capitalized, and it should be, or you have a parentheses and a comma in the wrong spot, or you're missing a parentheses or a comma. So just make sure that all this makes sense. That's why I kind of like to type my formulas out to make sure I have them right before I enter them in. Okay, so now we have, let's just test this a little bit. Remember, every time we change something or create a parameter, we need to test it. So yeah, 2 feet, 4 chairs. 3 feet, 4 chairs. And here's the kicker, 4 feet, 4 chairs. Cool. Let's go 5 feet and make sure it's reporting 6. Yep, 5 feet and 6 feet. and 6 chairs. All right, awesome. So let's have a 4-foot table with 4 chairs. So that will be our 4-foot table. Let's create a new family type. This is going to be our 6-foot table. All right, for a 6-foot table, we're going to type in 6 and have 6 chairs. Cool. So there we have it. There we have a family that is has a parametric array, and it responds off of the table size. And so the next step, I think I may break the video here and then have another video that picks up afterwards. The next step is going to be making some changes to this. We're probably going to start playing with some of the nested parameters within that chair. Maybe have another parameter where it says it's just the table and no chairs, or a table with chairs. That'll be the next step. So I'm going to break the video here and then pick it up in a second video.